All right. We are back. We are live, y'all. We are live. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for deciding to click on this video. Listen, we have been starting a 30-day challenge in order to become a better dater. So thank you so much for coming back. This is day 19 of becoming a better dater. If you have yet to listen to any of the topics that I previously spoke about, then do not hesitate to scroll. If you are on Facebook in the group that you're in, scroll down to see the previous videos. If you are listening to me on YouTube, I do have a playlist, so it is easier to find on my channel called How to Become a Better Dater. So go ahead and check out the videos there. I am Marshawn Olanio. I am a shift relationship strategist, which is a coach. I coach and serve Black women, professional Black women that are sick and tired of being sick and tired. I show them how to show up better in all of their relationships using tailored strategies depending on what their needs are in order for them to cultivate beautiful, healthy relationships. And I say relationships because many of us can think about romantic relationships when we think about a relationship coach. However, I actually help you with the most important relationship with this, which is the relationship with oneself. And of course, if you are in a boyfriend girlfriend situation, an engagement, and or a marriage, I can help you there as well, especially getting rid and going deeper into the why, getting down to the root cause as to why you are showing up the way that you are showing up, getting down to the root cause as to why the issues in your relationship won't dissipate, won't go away. And the truth of the matter is, most of that may have something to do with you. Yes, you that is listening to this. A lot of us have a tendency to want to point the finger. And one of the biggest things that we have struggled with, and this is not just in romantic relationships, this is just in every relationship, is communication. And so today we are talking about this big topic of communication and how you can deal with misunderstandings in your relationship, and talking about some of the common relationship challenges communication challenges within the relationship that people have. So that's what we are tackling today. Again, we are on day 19 of day 30, and I'm super excited to be here. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about communication and how we can deal with some of these misunderstandings in our relationships. So communication is the foundation for every relationship, whether it's with your families, your friends, your partners, or your colleagues, and of course your children, right? It does not matter which relationship you are talking about when you are talking about communication challenges. It happens in every relationship. And as I just mentioned, communication is the foundation of relationships. It's how we express our love, it's how we share our ideas, it's how we resolve conflict, and how we build trust. This thing right here, your mouthpiece. If you're not good with speaking, maybe you're better with writing, right? However you decide to communicate in your relationship, make it great. I would highly suggest that you go ahead and make sure that you practice with your speaking abilities, your speaking skills. However, if you are just learning or just starting out with trying to become a better communicator, maybe the best way for you to do it is write it all out and then read the document to the person. I said document, but it could be a letter, right? But read the piece of paper or whatever it is that you decide to write on, read it out if you are just beginning to try to be a better communicator. Misunderstandings often arise because of how we express ourselves, how we perceive others' intentions, and how we even manage our emotions during the interaction itself. Sometimes we just assume that the other person understands our thoughts, right? Intellectually, we know that we can't read anybody else's mind, but sometimes we may just believe that they know and understand what we're trying to say, even if they don't. And feelings without explicitly stating them, leading to unspoken expectations and unmet needs. Now, on the other hand, we may interpret what others are saying because of personal biases, past experiences, or even emotional triggers. All of that stuff can come into play. But our emotional state plays a significant role in how we communicate when we're stressed, hurt, or overwhelmed. We might lash out, shut down, or struggle to articulate what we truly mean. Other factors that shape the way that we communicate are cultural and societal factors. Now, at its core, effective communication requires awareness of yourself, of oneself, the other person, and the environment in which the conversation is taking place in that moment. It means being intentional about how you express yourself, listening with the goal of understanding rather than listening to just respond or to interject your opinion or to ask a particular question while the other person is speaking in that moment. Managing your emotions to keep the conversation productive is essential. So this is something that I definitely work on with my clients when they are having issues with trying to be an effective communicator. They're not understanding why the other person can't hear them, can't understand them, can't receive the information that they're trying to give in that moment. And so it's really important for you to be aware of how you're showing up, be aware of yourself, be aware of the body language and how your partner is receiving the things that you are saying, or colleague or whomever you're having this um, conversation with and you're having the communication challenge with, right? And understanding that the environment plays a part in it as well. And one of the other things I did not mention previously is the timing of it all. So I love when my client is like, I try to have a conversation, but I never did have the conversation, but she didn't realize that the timing was off for her partner. It's not just about you. It's not just about you. You have to take into account that not only does the environment play a role in the conversation, the timing also plays a role in the conversation going well. If your partner came home from having a really long and bad day, that is not the time for you to say and share all of your thoughts, all of the things that they're not doing right in your eyes in that moment. Timing also plays a part in it as well. So thanks for being here. As I mentioned before, I'm Marshawn Olanio. I help Black women, professional Black women, to show up differently in their relationships using tailored strategies for lasting change. So now let's talk about some common communication challenges that you may face or many people may face. So it is the fear of being misunderstood. We women have the stigma of being too strong or too emotional, specifically Black women. That too strong one goes for Black women, right? This can lead to being hesitant with fully expressing your needs and or your feelings. This fear creates a barrier, leaving conversations incomplete and needs unmet. You don't want to have the fear of just showing up. You don't want to have the fear of being misunderstood, which is why you have to be very clear on what you want to say. So if you are not great at communication, as I mentioned before, maybe it's better for you to write this stuff down, the things that you really want to get across before the conversation takes place. Number one, so you do not forget. Number two, even if the other person is not working on themselves and they keep interjecting or interrupting you, you will know what you were saying in that moment. I personally hate it when I'm trying to have a conversation and I forget what it is that I wanted to say because I'm just having a regular conversation. It's not a tough conversation. It's just, I'm super excited. They're talking. I'm trying to be respectful and let them speak. And then the question that I wanted to ask in that moment, I forget what it was. It happens. But I also want to allow the other person to fully complete their thoughts. So even if I lose my train of thought, most of the times, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but most of the time, by the time they're finished speaking, excuse me, they have answered my question. So you don't want to have the fear of being misunderstood, which is holding you back from having the conversation that needs to be had. So try to be as clear as you can when you're going in. Awareness is for sure a thing, as I mentioned before. The second common challenge that you may face is unspoken expectations. Assuming someone should know what you need is a common trap. We're not trying to trap ourselves in 2025. We have done this before. It has not served us previously. So we're going to stop doing the things that have not served us in 2025, specifically in our relationships. So while your intention might be clear to you, it may not be clear to the other person. Your unspoken expectations can lead to you being frustrated and the other party, as well as disappointed because you don't feel like they were really listening. When in fact, it wasn't that they weren't listening. You were not clear in what you were trying to say, as well as you expected them to understand the thing that you were trying to explain, not realizing that you sucked at your explanation. So it just may not be the other person. Just may be you. It just may be the person that's delivering the information. So don't always point the finger. Don't always, think it's always the other person that's at fault. If you're not clear about what you want to say, have an awareness of what you want to say, definitely understand that there are unspoken expectations that come along with each of us when we have these conversations. All of that's going to play a part in how you're showing up and the frustration that can and maybe even will occur if you're not aware of what's actually happening and how the other person is taking in the information, all because you're not clear, right? So we have the fear of being misunderstood, we have these unspoken expectations, and now we're talking about how it's reacting instead of responding. Instead of you taking time to, like, let me think about what this person said briefly, doesn't have to be 20 minutes or anything, but briefly think about what this person is saying to you, not necessarily how they're saying it to you, because responding is briefly thinking before you speak. Not just the first thing that comes up here is the thing that actually comes out of your mouth. Because there have been plenty times when somebody is talking to you and they're being disrespectful and you want to pop off with them. Well, that's not going to accomplish anything. It's not going to accomplish anything. So I highly recommend, as much as possible, because literally sometimes our old self will show up and show out because none of us are perfect. But as much as possible, you want to be able to not fly off the handle, not react. You want to take a few moments to respond, because in emotionally charged situations, it's easy to react without fully understanding the other person's perspective. This often escalates conflict instead of resolving it. That's not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to escalate the issue. You're trying to resolve it, or if that's what you should be trying to do. So, fear misunderstood, being misunderstood, unspoken expectations, reacting versus responding. And then number 4, you have the difficulty of setting boundaries. Maybe that is your issue. That is a big issue, which is why I keep bringing it up in these conversations, because setting boundaries is a must. It gives somebody a clear picture of what you intend or how you intend for them to treat you. They will be clear, have clarity about what your needs are, the things that you will and will not accept in your life, and the relationship that you have with this person. Again, this does not have to be just with your romantic partner. This is everybody that you come into contact with. Your communication needs to be on point. You need to be clear about the things that you want to say, and understanding that there are parts that play a role in the communication arena. Okay, so now let's move on into how you can address said challenges. This one I've actually already said, but I'm going to say it again, which is to clarify your intentions. You have to clarify your intentions. Before entering a conversation, ask yourself, what am I feeling? What do I want to communicate? Because when you're clear, it's easier to express yourself effectively. You have to know and be clear, have clarity around what you're trying to express before the conversation happens. So when you go into the conversation, you don't feel like that you're just talking in circles, or like there's no point to the conversation. And you not only feel that, the other person, you don't want the other person to feel that and then check out, where literally they're not listening to you anymore, but they may be saying, uh-huh, I hear you. I got you. But they don't hear anything. They ain't got nothing because you just sound to them womp, 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 womp. The teacher off of Charlie Brown. Yes, I'm dating myself, but here it is. Yes. Okay. So now the second way to address these communication challenges is to speak directly, but also kindly. Directly and kindly. Replace the assumption with clarity. We just talked about clarity. So instead of saying, you never listen, excuse me, try saying, I feel unheard when you scroll through your phone while I'm speaking to you. Can we discuss this? And your sentence may not be just like that, but you want it to be very clear where you're not pointing the finger, but you are addressing the issue. You're not making them feel guilty or shameful or any other thing that makes them feel like they need to react to what you're saying. You're just clearly stating the facts. And if you stick with the facts, you will get much further because all of the other stuff, all the other noise that comes into play will actually be out the window. You won't have to think about all of that noise. You won't. You'll be able to show up, state what it is, and then be able to move forward because you stated it. And now they have to be able to, excuse me, respond to what you're saying versus reacting to how you're treating them or if you're talking down to them as well. The third thing is to practice active listening. Listen to understand, not just to respond. Repeat what you hear to ensure you're clear on what he said or she or whomever you're speaking to in that moment. You can start with something like, so what I hear you saying is, or what I just heard you say is, and then say the thing, right? But making sure that you are actively listening, leaning in when you are saying the uh-hs and yes, I understand that you really are saying that because you do understand, because you do hear them, because you are listening to what they say. And when you actively listen to somebody, you make them feel heard, you make them feel seen, you make them feel understood, and the appreciation that is there that comes along with that will go a long way in their book. They may not show it in that moment, but as after they walk away and then the endorphins have come down and now they're like, okay, let me, yeah, I'm able to handle this a little bit better. I might even need to go in there and apologize. Oh, or dang, what they said was actually right. So yeah, I need to do better in this department. Or they could just, decide not to, and then you can make an informed decision like, okay, I actually gave this person a chance. We had this conversation about said topic, and the behavior, the habits, the whatever it is that you were discussing is still the same after all this time. I don't like it, don't want it, whatever. And then you can make an informed decision on how you want to take/make your next move. The fourth way to combat this is the old school boundaries. You got to set your boundaries with confidence, honey. Practice saying no. No is a complete sentence, but you can say it with compassion and without over explaining. No is a complete sentence. You do not have to over explain in depth why you said no. No means no. Now, it's a courtesy if you explain or even over explain, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary. You don't have to do it. So practice saying no. You could say, you know what? I can't do it at this time because I'm busy. I know that you need help, but I can't do it at this time. Right? You're acknowledging that they need help, but you're also acknowledging that you are busy at this time and you're not going to be the person that does it. You don't have to be mean and nasty, but you do have to say no when it's appropriate. When you don't feel like doing the thing that they're asking you to do, you should say no. You should say no because we are no longer showing up as people pleasers in 2025. It's not what we're doing. In 2025, we're doing something different. Use the power of your no. It is yours. Own it. There will be some communication challenges. This doesn't have to be one of them. You may be weak in this area because you are so used to saying yes, being there for everybody except you. You're there for everybody but you. So we can no longer be there for everybody else and not there for ourselves. Sometimes you have to say no just to recharge. Sometimes you have to say no just to reset. Sometimes you have to say no just to chill and to be and do nothing. I highly encourage you, if you have not done this yet, to schedule some time for you to be with you, to do just what you need to do for you. It's all about you. Say no. This is one of the things that I absolutely work with my clients on. We help them schedule in time for themselves because we have a tendency to always find room on our schedule to say yes to the things that are not super important. I'm not saying that all of the things that we say yes to are not important. That's not true. But some of the things that we're saying yes to them because we feel obligated to say yes versus you really wanting to say yes. So, what I like to say for myself is if it's not an emphatic yes, it's a hell no. No, it's a no. So, practice saying no. Say it with confidence. Set those boundaries. Schedule your time for you to recharge, to do nothing, or to do everything. Do the things that you really want to do without having to worry about, is this person that I'm going with, that I want to do this thing with, are they okay? Do they like the same thing right in this moment? Did they like the movie? Did they like the music? Did they like, you don't have to worry about any of that because you're going for you. So do you. The fifth way to get rid of some of these common miscommunication challenges in your life is to pause before you respond. So this is all about that reacting that I was talking about. You don't want to react. Take a few moments to think about what they're saying, not how they're saying it. Because we know usually when we're reacting to something, it's because the other party is basically being a rude person. So just pause. Think about what it is that you want to say so it can now be a response versus a reaction. And a lot of times, if you can do, now this one is really hard to do, especially if you're just starting out trying to do this. It can be really hard to do. But once you get the hang of it, once you get the hang of actually doing this thing, slowing things down so you can respond, so you can have an intelligent thought to say, a lot of times you can make that argument, that person that has this hyper, they ready to go, raw feelings, can simmer down a bit. Not to say that they're going to go away completely. They can actually articulate a little bit better about what's really going on with them in that moment. Because most of the time, it has nothing to do with you. They happen to take it out on you, but it has nothing to do with you. So pause. So take a moment, take a breath before you respond to triggering statements. This allows you to process and choose a calm, thoughtful response. So I highly encourage you to pause before you start to speak. So it's a response versus a reaction. Because some people will say something to you just to get you to react, just to get you off of your game, just to make you become, in that moment, someone that you're not usually being. So just pause. So I highly encourage you to start a journal. Start a journal. Reflect on a recent conversation that you had where you felt misunderstood or frustrated, and ask yourself what emotions were at play in that moment, and what did I want to relay? What did I want them to know that I was not able to articulate because I allowed this trigger to get me off my game? Journaling helps you identify patterns and equips you to approach future conversations with clarity and with confidence. Remember, effective communication takes practice. It absolutely does. It takes patience and it also takes self awareness. By addressing these common challenges with intentionality, you will find more fulfilling relationships and deeper connections. I'm Marshawn Alanio. I want to thank you so much for being here with me for these 20 plus minutes. I really appreciate it. Share this message with somebody that you know who needs to hear it. Come back and listen to it yourself if this message is for you. I love you guys, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And I will see you on the next live stream tomorrow. Bye bye now.